Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
hello.
Thank you for coming today. Today is our very first online Zoom live event, Unstuck to Unstoppable. And this is going to be a weekly event that we put together through our Genuine Men's Chat. And I'll explain what the Genuine Men's Chat is all about in just a second. We're going to be doing this weekly. It's our first time today on Sunday, the 29th. We're streaming live in the UK, in the US, in Canada, and in Europe. And we will be doing it consistently every single Thursday from here on out until this coronavirus epidemic or pandemic comes to an end, so that we can be here to support each and every one of you and offer each man, woman, girl, boy, family member, community member, the opportunity to have a space to speak. I first want to thank everyone for coming and participating. And I want to share a little bit about the Genuine Men's Chat movement. So the Genuine Men's Chat is a movement that consists of a show, a podcast, and workshops through screening of our shows that expresses the often unheard honest views of men, much like yourselves, from various backgrounds, cultures, religions, and life experiences. It's also a really rare opportunity for men to have a platform such as this, live or live online, to express their viewpoints, their thoughts, their perceptions, and obstacles in their life with other men in order to share and feel comfortable enough in a safe environment to talk about how these topics impact them, their families, their communities, and society as a whole. Much like the coronavirus has impacted many homes and many communities around the world, this is an opportunity for us to create that safe space for each of us to be able to speak about how it's impacting us today. But each week we're going to be coming with a different topic. So it's not just about the coronavirus, it's really about who we are as individuals, as human beings, and how we're bonding together on a basic yet very transformative platform such as this one, where we're talking with many men and having many conversations. My name's Riham, and I'm your Genuine Men's Chat movement host, as I'd like to say, for each of these live events. And as a transformational personal and professional coach, I work with couples, I work with men, predominantly women and families, on issues related to relationships, related to life changes, career development, and so much more. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
And today's topic is From Crazy to Sanity. So let's get started. I want to introduce who's the team on board today. We've got three wonderful men participating with us. We've got Alan.
Hello,
Alan.
everyone.
He's our behind the scenes man. He's also our amazing videographer. We've also got Liaqat. Hello, Liaqat. Hey.
Hi.
And
Hi.
he's our amazing deep diver when it comes to topics and no holds barred, which is amazing. And we've got Michael.
Hello, everyone.
Who comes from such an amazing background of experiences, opportunities, and a really refreshing viewpoint on life. And we're excited to have each of you on board. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So today we're going to go through a couple of points regarding the impact of the coronavirus on us each and our communities. But before we go forward with that, we want to wish our hardworking men and women all over the world that are supporting everyone in the healthcare industry, in the hospitals, in the pharmacies, in the grocery stores that are still, stocking shelves and delivering food, and the restaurants and the catering businesses that are sustaining us as we are trying to sustain them as well. And it's a symbiotic relationship, which is beautiful to see people in times of difficulty coming together and bonding. So I want to just shout out that thank you to everyone out there that's putting in the time and the effort. And we appreciate you. Okay, so what has been the biggest challenge each of you has faced this week since the lockdown here in the UK, since there have been lockdowns throughout the US and parts of Canada, all throughout Europe, parts of Africa, and other countries around the world? How has that impacted you here now?
Do you want me to start?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I think personally myself, it's perhaps seeing how it's affected the population in general and how everyone has reacted to this abnormality that we're all in at the moment. Because certainly there's a lot that has been asked from us all. And to adapt to something like this is asking a lot, and some people just find it very, very difficult to wrap their head around what's going on, and it's quite understandable. I mean, the governments around the world that are trying to rectify or try to get on top of this thing, they're finding their feet as well. So, you've got your professionals and you've got your medical experts, and everyone's like completely seems very, not clueless, but they really don't have a definitive answer.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't have that, you're kind of in a kind of space of uncertainty, and there's no fixed answer. Everyone's finding their way, basically, and you're seeing things which you maybe don't normally see in people, and you don't see in society. Some good and some bad, and really, I think we should, how to deal with this. Everyone's going to have their own kind of idea, but really, we have to be respectful of one another, and I think we really have to show consideration to one another, because no matter what's asked of us at what time, because the way it's happening is changing day by day. There's not one fixed kind of way or rule or regulation by which we have to conduct ourselves. It keeps changing every day. And again, we keep getting asked to do, abide by certain rules. And so really, we have to kind of be patient about it, not be too selfish about it, which I feel some people are. It's my own opinion. I mean, I'm sure people have their own thoughts on it, but my own opinion is it's difficult. It's difficult for me. It's difficult for my family and my friends and the society that I'm in. I can see it, and everywhere else, obviously, as you can imagine when you see things in the news. But really, we're in it together, and if we're in it together, let's just show a bit more tolerance, and let's just be a bit more considerate with one another. And as you had mentioned before about, showing your appreciation and gratitude to those that are really putting themselves out there, the NHS staff and frontline service people. I mean, we've been told to do the easy thing, well, relatively easy in terms of keep ourselves safe and keep ourselves confined within our own spaces. But these other individuals that are actually going out there, facing this virus, this threat, and for what purpose? For the general kind of benefit of others, really. And That's a sacrifice, I would say. I'm not the one who's going out there and doing it. There's other people going to do it. So at least I could show appreciation and do my bit. And yeah, you know, I don't think it's a big ask, to be honest. It's tough. You just accept it. It is tough. It's not going to be easy. But, you know, look at the overall kind of, you know, the aspect of it. It's really for the benefit of everyone.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know if anyone wants to add anything to that.
Alan, do you want to go?
Okay, I'm gonna go first. So my biggest challenge was simply to stay calm. I tend to overthink a lot of things, and I'm generally a very calm person, and I don't freak out often. I tend to keep you know, my emotions you know, hang on. But when you have so much information, a lot of negative information, especially on social media, and some of this is conflicting information, it's really hard not to let emotions take over, especially because we are you know, we are we have herd mentality. We like to see, if we see other people getting scared, we also get scared. And so there's like this internal fight going on between stay calm, control what you can, and be, you know, do rational things and make rational decisions. On the other hand, it's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Especially if you're a person who likes to overthink many things. If you have, I don't have a family and kids to support, but I cannot imagine me as just a regular guy without those responsibilities. I cannot imagine what is going through the minds of the people that have children, families, huge responsibilities. Obviously, entrepreneurs, they have a lot of things on their plate. And for example, financial issues, worries, anxieties, they are the biggest challenge for me and other people in business. And I'm sure Michael is going to add to that as well. And Jakub, I know you're doing some self-employment. You got a business, right? DJing business,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. So there's a lot of that. You have families, so you're probably going to have a lot of worries about that. I don't know how you see it, but in my mind, it's like there's a lot of things that you want to freak out about, but at the same time you have people around you that you want to take care of, and you want to show them being an example of being calm and not freaking out. So it's like a contradiction between I'm really scared, but I have to show up and I have to, you know, appear very strong and in control, because otherwise people will start freaking out even more. So it's like this challenge is internal, mainly, just simply, okay, what is going to happen, what I'm actually able to control, you know, split the information that is real from the information that is fake, conspiracy theories versus actual information that is happening. And then on top of that, you know, Facebook, for example, feeds you information that you tend to read. So if you want to do some research, you start to search in Google and Facebook and others on the topic, and then that algorithm will feed you even more information that will make you more scared. So it's like this cycle of worrying all the time. And that's, for me, and I think for many people, it will be the worries, the worrying, constant worrying at night, during the day, wherever you go, you just worry what's going to happen, what is. So I don't know if that is something that you would guys relate.
Right. For me, I think the biggest challenge was around adapting to the change, because obviously there are now restrictions, but also alongside the restrictions, there are instructions. So, for example, washing your hands, using sanitizers, and keeping that distance. And it's not just keeping the distance, but you're also regulated on when to go out and how to go out and go for the shopping, and so adapting to all these things. And it's not like it's a one-off, but it's people are even talking about it as it becoming a lifestyle from now on. So adapting to that kind of lifestyle is a bit of a challenge. But also for me, on reflection, it's given me an opportunity to actually reflect on myself and find ways of surviving through this situation. And so, yes, I'm going to adapt. Yes, it's challenging to adapt to the changes, but how do I then survive through these situations? How do I still hold my head up high and carry on with what I'm doing? So, yes, financially it's very tough. People are losing jobs, and yes, we can read the news and we see the evidence that people are dying and it's affecting people, and you've got to wash your hands and keep the distance and have the masks and do all these things. But at the end of the day, how do I really pull this off? So it's that has posed a challenge to me. But on the other hand, I think when I continuously look at the challenge, I also see the opportunity. So yes, the challenge is there, but what opportunity can I get out of this challenge that that is eating up the whole world? So in terms of, again, kind of slowing down in the things that we're doing, because obviously now we are restricted from going to work and then working from home. That in itself is a big challenge. Adapting to that is a big challenge. But on the other hand, while I'm working at home, how am I relating to the people around me? That's my wife. Those are my kids. But the biggest challenge as well is because I'm not in Uganda, in Africa. My family is back there and I'm here. And constantly you also get messages from back home where they tell you it's here as well, and people are dying here. And so that distance as well, it poses a big challenge. So again, adapting to that and thinking, my goodness, how am I going to survive this? But so juggling all that can be really tough and really challenging, because even then, alongside that, again, based on the restrictions, now you can't jump on a plane and go to Uganda. that is no more. So all you're dependent on is technology, WhatsApp, and maybe phone calls and things like that. So it's that adapting to all these things can be very challenging. But alongside that, looking for opportunities and staying positive and hoping for the best as we go along.
Thank you. You each talk about this level of uncertainty or lack of certainty that Liaquat mentioned in different ways. And I wanted to just broach it just quickly. So did you know that there are 6 or 7 human needs, basic human needs that every single human being has? And one of them is that level of certainty that we are all possibly experiencing a lack of. And so it's normal and healthy even to recognize when we don't have something, because sometimes with the lack, you recognize the actual value of it when you have it. So this is definitely a testing time, as each of you have shared. It's also an opportunity, as each of you have shared, for growth and change. As you just eloquently said, Michael, about adapting to the change. And there's so many different ways that we can do that. But before we can adapt to change and grow, not just survive, but hopefully also thrive, which is also a basic human need, the growth component, we need to look at, where are we right now? So, for example, are we thinking too far ahead into the future and really focused on worrying about the future? Or are we really 5 or 10 steps we could have done differently now that we have the time and the opportunity to think, and our thoughts are starting to increase? And as Alan, you said, some of those thoughts could be negative thoughts. And when those negative thoughts start to take over, we can feel that lack of control that you were talking about, Alan. And so the best place is not to be in the guilt. The best place is not to be in the worry. The best place is to be in the here and now.
The now, yeah.
Be present in the here and now. Exactly, Michael. In the here and now, so that you're taking life as it comes, as it unfolds, and as you choose to face it. And then choose, as Alan and Liaqat and Michael, you each said, address those concerns or those issues or those testing circumstances in a way that you are proud of how you handled it looking forward. So that's the only part of looking forward that becomes healthy, not the worry and not the guilt in the past. The other thing, just to touch upon each of you speaking about how to find hope or how to be calm in this time of uncertainty, one of the most important things that we need to recognize is our body responds to that cycle of, Alan, you said it beautifully, it was that cycle of worry. And Liaqat, you mentioned it under the auspices of uncertainty. And that cycle of worry builds and builds and builds the stress hormones in our bodies that shifts our mindset. And when it shifts our mindset to be a negative one, it impacts our emotions, then it impacts our behavior and our actions. And so the most important thing, once you recognize that your thoughts are starting to go negative, is one, turn off the news, turn off Facebook, close whatever it is, do it, just take a break, take a few minutes. And the next most important step, after recognizing that that's happening and then making a stance, putting your health and your well-being first, is to take a breath. Sometimes we estimate the importance or underestimate the importance of breathing, but breathing actually revitalizes our entire system. And it gives it the necessary oxygen. And it's as simple as, you can close your eyes or open your eyes and just breathe in deeply into your belly. And then you hold it for 3 seconds, at least, if you can. No more than that. We don't want anybody hyperventilating. But just breathe in into your belly and then slowly releasing it with your mouth open a little bit. And do that a couple of times. Anytime you feel that sense of overwhelm, you have that wonderful technique of breathing, but you're doing it consciously to calm your body down and to have a sense of what each of you have talked about in a different way, that sense of control.
Can I say something there?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the other, what this has also highlighted is, again, around doing things effectively. Because and that can be addressed in different ways. But I think for us to do things effectively, again, is that, working towards that growth.
Yes.
But allowing that growth to take its course. So we were getting to a place where everything is really fast-paced. You go to even having a cup of tea now, you can't go to the cafe, you want to go through the drive-through. If you go for meals, McDonald's, you can't sit inside. No, there's no time to do that. You have to go through the drive-through. And if they don't have that drive-through, it's like they're wasting a lot of time. Well, guess what? Now we have to queue up to go into the supermarket and wait for as long as they ask us to go.
Beautifully
That
said.
is not important anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But also while we're doing things, I think even in terms of relationships, we have our brothers and sisters and friends and community, but we are not getting down to the root and establishing ourselves really well, to understand each other really well. So as long as I give you a phone call, or I'm in touch with you on Facebook and Skype and whatever, we think we're engaged, we're in connection, but actually we are not, because we are not giving each other that time to grow together, and to do things well enough to be effective. So all the time, things were very, very fast paced. And I just hope that this will get us to that point where we really appreciate each other, but also try to cut down and do things in a gradual way to be more effective going forward.
Beautifully spoken, Michael, because that was my next question. So thank you for preempting it. And I'll give you an opportunity if you want, after asking the question, if you'd like to add more of what you were saying, because we are now forced in a way, because of the fact that everything is on lockdown, to take things slower. And many of us are on what they call a hamster wheel, where we're constantly on the go, and we don't know what to do with ourselves right now. So my question was, and I'd love to hear from each of you, how has this impacted your mindset, your health, your family, your work, and relationships?
Alan? Or
I can do that. I was waiting for you, but it's okay. I can go for it. So I can say, so far, so good. Actually, really, really positively. That means by the way, I share a flat with other people. There's 3 other people, and I live in one room under one roof with my girlfriend. So we have been in a lockdown for almost 2 weeks, and we are actually have seen positive changes to our relationship. Not like I heard that, some people are actually don't like to spend time with each other, so they are going crazy, they want to kill each other. I work
with my wife, Alan. So you can imagine.
So in terms of our relationship, we really decided to take care of it very well and make sure we do the right things in terms of giving each other space and taking care of each other in this difficult time, and talk and really be aware of what is happening, so we don't go crazy, because it's almost like being in a jail cell. So you have to kind of proactively prepare yourself for going crazy. So one example would be that I dress up. We don't sit in jammies all day and watching films and do nothing. We actually dress up. We work out, we eat well, we live normally, even though we don't get out, but we live relatively normally to make sure we stay in a good condition. So that's good. And also, and we don't allow ourselves to become lazy, because it's very easy to become lazy and just do nothing and waste time all day and literally just not get up from bed. And secondly is the relationships with other people, with family. So I don't do this every day, but I regularly call people about evening time, 7 o'clock at night. I would randomly pick a couple of people that I haven't spoken for a while, and I just call them or message them and spend about half an hour to an hour time letting them know that I think about them, and I wish we could do things together. And when this is all over, I will make sure to make time and that we're gonna meet. And yeah, that also involves family and friends. So my mother, my brother, and friends that actually I haven't seen for a very long time, maybe because we all sometimes wait for this first move. I'm going to wait until she called me or he called me. No, I'm I don't care in that moment. I'm just going to reach out, let them know that I think about them, and really take the time to ask how they are, if everyone in their family is healthy, if they need any help. That also builds a little bit more peace inside you because you feel useful. Like Riham told me before, in that moment, I don't focus on myself, I focus on others. And that gets me out of my mind and that spinning circle of worrying if I think about others and not myself.
I think, being engaged with the family in a lockdown situation can be quite a challenge.
Tell us, Leah. Tell us. I know you work with your wife as well.
You know, the programs that I like isn't the same programs my wife likes, right? So there's a battle about the remote control, which is the first thing. But you know, I think we have to give ourselves fair time, you know, on the TV. But I think the way we've kind of dealt with it in our household is we've actually kind of joked about certain situations, not certainly not about the virus as such, because it is a serious issue, but just in general when you're chatting, and some of the WhatsApp messages, you get quite funny kind of posts and stuff like that. So we kind of share a lot of them and talk about things like that, or you know, some event has happened, some funny thing that's happened, and we kind of talk about. So it's like being quite kind of upbeat about things, and not just be doom and gloom all the time. But generally we tend to be like that anyway. So it's just continuing that because it works for us anyway. So I don't see why, if something's working, then you know it's for us anyway. You should just continue that way. My daughter, my youngest one, she's off school now, so she's having a field time. She's absolutely loving it. But the thing is with her is she's got to go online. She has to get up in the morning with the school, register online, log in online at 9 o'clock. She gets schoolwork that she has to do through the day. And so she has a relatively kind of a set routine in that sense. But she's, after the school time, she's engaged with her friends like we are right now, interacting on Zoom, but she does it on WhatsApp or whatever sort of. So she's engaged and she's quite kind of happy in her space. And as long as everyone's kind of, no one's left out, I think, you know, so be it. You know, just keep it going that way as long as you can, to be honest, and try not to complicate it. And if there is something there that I felt that was quite negative or was affecting and not such a positive way, I would probably address it. But to be honest, so far things have kind of been okay for us, to be honest. I mean, obviously the work side aspect of it is a little bit of a concern, but hey, I'm not the only one in this situation. The whole world is in this situation. So, you know, I'm no one special. So I don't need to kind of say, oh, I'm ruined, you know, and why is this happening to me? It's not just happening to me. Everyone's in the same situation. Just we need to kind of try to figure a way out getting by it together in the best way possible. It's
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So do you also sometimes think what happens if this lasts for 3 or 6 months and we have to stay like this for 3 or 6 months? Do you think about that at all?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I have thought about that because that's some of the conversations I've had with my friend. They're always speculating, oh, it's going to be at least 2 weeks, we need to do this. And then some people, oh, it's 12 weeks. And, oh, no, it's 6 months, and all these kind of random timelines and whatever else. But you know what it is? It is what it is. And see, when it comes to that time, I'll deal with it when it comes to that time. I don't need to worry about it right now. What I need to focus on is, as Riham had said, focus on now. You know, what's happening now in my life and how things are right now. Thank God, you know, things are still quite positive as best as the circumstances are. So, you know, I'm not crying over spilt milk. You know, there is government has came out and they're saying, look, we'll help you, support you as people that are self-employed. So they've kind of ticked that box for me. So why do I need to worry about that? It's not the best scenario, but it's still kind of been addressed. So if there's certain things which I'm concerned about that have been kind of dealt with in some way or another, then no, I'm not going to worry about the situation. I'll just play along with it as it goes, because as I say, we all have to be flexible and we all have to go through it. Nobody knows how long this is going to go on for. And see, when it comes to the next sort of phase or period, then I'll just deal with it when it comes to that point anyway. But moreover, for me, I think if I ever get to that low point, where I think, oh man, this is getting a bit too much. For me, something that's really, really important for me, and it really helps me a lot, is my faith. Because for me, you know, I believe in God. I'm a Muslim. That's my background. And my perspective on the way things happen in life and in my life and just generally the world around us, there's always a meaning behind it. Even if I don't understand it, there's a meaning behind it. Out of negative, you can get positive as well. We don't see it at the moment, but there could be. There was a scientist who was kind of talking about on the TV about how production has dropped, transportation has dropped, how that's actually maybe benefiting the planet Earth in terms of the environment, in terms of the pollution, you know, and that's overall been a major concern for a lot of the world in general, in terms of, look, our pollution levels are getting extremely high. We're damaging our Earth, and all these kind of debates that have been happening. And he said, you know, the flip side, there are benefits, but we can't see that because of the threats. Why? Because everything we see in the news is this many thousand have been affected, this many hundred have now died, this many thousand, and that's all we keep saying all the time. And that's kind of the forefront of our minds, and that's the thing that we're probably thinking of more than the other things that, you know, that we probably should be reflecting on as well, the bigger picture. But really, it's, for me, to be honest, certainly my faith does take me through a lot of hardship, and anytime I go through hardship, I rely on my faith, and up till now, thankfully, it's never let me down.
Thank you, Liaqat, because you just took us into the next question, which is beautiful segue. What advice would you give others from our viewers, for example, when to ask for advice or how to ask for support? What's the value of reaching out to others, and how that value has impacted each of you in this time of tribulation? And how can others find meanings similar to the meaning that you were talking about, Liaqat? If you want to continue, feel free. If not, one of the other men would like to step in.
Yeah, so certainly this thing that we're doing, the way we're engaging, you know, I'm hearing everyone's kind of points of views, and I can really relate with everyone as well. That helps in the sense of, yeah, I'm not alone in this. You know, what I'm feeling, other people are feeling as well. So I should be despaired. It's not just happening to me, and I'm the only person in this world. But we're all sharing this situation. And then also from these conversations, you never know, somebody might say something that triggers something off in your mind, and you think, that's a good perspective, that's a good way of looking at it, you know, and I've got to try that. Or just kind of that light bulb moment, you know, and that's not going to happen if you just sit in the house and wallow about your problems and not have discussions and not engage with other people and not share your perspective and things or your experiences. So yeah, definitely, Reham, what you were saying is very important to engage, and this thing that we are doing is definitely will enlighten people, you know, that are in bad places, definitely.
One of the, actually, we were just, before I came on, we were again, just to add on to what you were saying, for me as well, one of the things that has really always stood out is my faith as well. And before I came on, I just communicated with Riam and said, I'll be in prayer before, you know, between 1 and 2. But one of the things that we were discussing in that time of prayer was one person commented and saying, because of the lockdown and the situation that we are all in at the moment, for the married couples, if you didn't get married to a friend, your friend, you're in big trouble. Because during tough times like this, that's when everything is, you know, out there. That's when everything is exposed. That's when you're going to be tested to your limit. But I think, just like you say, this is in times like this that every one of us has got to get back to that place where you really re-engage, kind of, reevaluate yourself in terms of, you know, your relationship with your creator, first and foremost, but also your relationship with the people around you. And that could be your wife, it could be your girlfriend, your husband, your boyfriend, your kids, your community. But ultimately, it starts with your creator. And then it's out of that it flows into the other things. So as much as for me, it might be a challenge, again, going back to where I started from, it also poses an opportunity for us to can I say, it's reset. It's resetting the set button. You know, it's I'll give you an example. It's like, you know, when we're going through the winter, we always set our heaters to turn on and turn off at certain times. But obviously, when we go through the winter, the cold season, and get into the summer seasons and all that, you've got to go back to the button and reset it so that the heaters are not turning on during the summer. So I think for me, this is giving us that opportunity to reset the set button, to re-engage with some of the things that we've sometimes taken for granted and not paid attention to. So this is really an opportunity for us to get back to our basics and do things properly. And do those things properly, intentionally, trying to be intentional in some of the things that we're doing, so that again, we're not caught up in a place where when this phase is gone, we get again getting back to the same routine. And then we miss the opportunities again. But I think it will be very good for us to look at those things, reflect, re-engage, and learn to do things properly from now on. Going forward.
I'm gonna add on top of that, I think. So I agree 100% that this is a reset time on many layers. Personally, like for anybody as a person, they need to learn about themselves, how to handle themselves, what they are doing on daily basis. Then in terms of relationships with friends and family, it's a reset. You have to rethink and you have an opportunity to recreate pretty much every relationship that you have, including like if you are with your friends, obviously that's a test of love and how much really you want to be with the person you're with. For example, my girlfriend is super messy and I had to let go and learn how to just like literally this morning, just go look to the sink and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to wash it. It's just like, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I wanted to do like a a photo and then send it over via WhatsApp. But I'm like, no, I'm just going to wash it. I'm just going to let it go. And that's it. So that's a test in itself, and it's a reset. But for example, in my case as well, for my business and my finances, it's a reset. So I have to admit, I've done a terrible job in terms of my personal finance. I'm in debt. And also I did not have any savings, and I did not take care of a lot of stuff that needs to be taken care of when you do business. And literally, to me, it's a restart right now, because pretty much every single client, apart from one, is on hold. Nobody is doing anything with me. I have an opportunity to literally restart my business, start from ground up. And I'll also touch up on the perspective thing that you said, Jakub. So I called one of my clients who also is kind of becoming a friend of mine, and he mentioned like he told me about how he sees things, and I was really taken by his perspective and how calm he was. He's an Italian, and I wanted to find out if how he pictures the situation in Italy, and how is his family and everything. And I thought he, as an Italian, would be freaking out. He's got 3 or 4 employees, and he would be freaking out that he's not going to be able to, get work for them and everything. Instead, what I heard from him was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm finding time to read more books, learn a little bit more, just spend time on meditating, really refresh my body and mind. And like just the general attitude, the behavior, the calm voice and everything made me super calm, and like made me think, wow, that person is so calm and they don't freak out at all. Like, wow, I was almost disappointed. I was like, whoa, I thought we're going to be like in this together, like trying to feel sorry for each other. Instead, he was like, no, I'm doing great. I'm reading, I'm meditating, I'm doing this, that. And that was really great. So for me, it's a reset time. I need to look back on how I do things. For example, my girlfriend had savings for a while. So I was kind of looking at her with admiration and sometimes even jealousy, like, wow, I wish I did that. The money for the rainy day. So I will make sure next time, or hopefully nothing like this will happen ever again. But after we are back to normal, to make sure have money for a rainy day. Because it really takes a big toll on your head. Like almost my mind is connected to the state of my bank account, literally like that. And I need to really reset that and fix things for the future. And this is the best opportunity because I have time for it. Like literally, I have all the time in the world to sit down, rethink, replan, restructure, rebuild. That's the time, because I spend at home most of my time alone, so yeah, that's the best opportunity right now.
So oh, Leochit, go ahead.
Sorry, just a couple of points.
Absolutely.
Michael and Alan had said it was quite interesting about resetting again. And also related to that is that he said about appreciating. I think that's one thing we get so normalized with routine that we forget to appreciate basic things. Bog roll. But I'm just saying in general, just like even just going to the superstore to get stuff, you wouldn't even think about it before, but now it's like such a big thing. But that's just that. But every aspect of our normal life has now become, something very precious, something very kind of dear to us. Oh, why can we not do that again? And it's that kind of appreciation over things that we've now taken for granted. And that could be also like, as Alan was saying about our work, I don't need to worry about it. I'll work next week and I'll have this much money and, I'll be all right. and not actually thinking long term and not thinking sensible. So making those changes. But the other thing is also is not to forget in terms of appreciation is, for example, the people that are NHS staff, for example, the people that are doing all these voluntary work and are going out and giving food parcels and packages. Generally people, you know, a lesser number, you know, of volunteers do it, but this time overwhelming numbers of people were going out their way because, one, they had the time, but secondly, they thought, I want to do something to help people here because there's a major crisis here. But if we go back to our normal ways, is that going to then start diminishing? And people will then forget that those values of we can still volunteer and still help, because there's always going to be people who are vulnerable. There's always going to be people, even if we go back to our normal lives, if the pandemic finishes and everything, are we going to forget that there still are vulnerable people? Not the way they are now, but you know, they generally are. That's their day-to-day living. And really to kind of reflect on most things and to make those changes and make them a normal thing as well.
There's so much wealth of opportunities in this testing time that affords us, like each of you have been saying, a time to reset every aspect of our life. It gives us an opportunity to live intentionally, to make conscious choices and decisions in our lives that we can be proud of for many years to come. Because if we're looking at it from a time of resetting, as a time for resetting, then we're looking at it also as a time of investing in us, investing in our ability to be better versions of us. So as the masterclass program that I have, Dare to Be You, says, it's all about what's here that impacts what's here, that impacts what's here. So what you do with your hands is directly related to what you think about in your head. So living in the moment, as we talked about, being appreciative, not only of opportunities, but also of others, our partners, our families, our children or loved ones, even the mailman or the mailwoman that comes to our door that no longer comes to our door at this time, being appreciative that they, you know, go through a lot to give us a service that we take for granted by taking from our door, you know, the post or the medication from the pharmacy or however that looks, or school, you know, the teachers. I know many parents are talking about how much they appreciate teachers because they're able to stay attentive in the moment and on top of every single child in their class. And parents, much like myself, and I have a young child who loves school equally, is excited not to be in school, but really enjoys the opportunity now of learning in a new interactive way. So we have 5 minutes, if each of you can take a minute, so I can wrap up at the end, of any reflections, perspective shifts, or learnings that you would like to share before we end today.
For myself, I think I'm really humbled, and I'm really encouraged by people's heartfelt acts that they're doing, the way they're contributing, and they're coming together, and that's wonderful. And you can see that on a national level, and in a community level. In my kind of area, we have a Facebook group that's been made, and put your name on it if you want to be able to volunteer to help. If there's any elderly in the area, anyone who's vulnerable, and you can go and deliver something for them. So you'll be given a task just as a volunteer, and it's to help. And I really love that. I think that is fantastic to be able to create that amongst us. I mean, I barely get a chance to say hi and bye to my neighbours generally, you know, when I'm coming and going out the house. So to have that connection with them, and it's a meaningful connection, is very valuable. You know, I think out of all this mayhem, you know, if that comes out of it, you know, it's for me, it's a positive.
Michael?
Okay. I think for me, is continuously to have that hope, to know that yes, it's tough, yes, it's challenging, but we should continue to be hopeful. The best is yet to come. Yes, when we read the news, obviously right now they're telling us UK, we're going to hit our peak, and you know there are a lot of people going to die and all that, and sometimes I intentionally make a decision not to hear that, and instead focus on, you know what, yes, it might be bad, but hey, look how many people are going to still survive. And so instead of dwelling and getting bogged down with all this negativity, I intentionally choose to look at the positive side of it. And so if I wake up in the morning and I can still walk and brush my teeth and have something to eat, come on, I'm going to, you know, have another 10, 15 more years to go. And if the same happens to my child and my wife, and I make those phone calls and I still hear those that I know and those that I love, that they're still alive and well, then I remain hopeful. I make that decision to remain hopeful. So yes, it's tough. Yes, it's complicated, but let us remain hopeful. And I think this discussion in itself is really, really encouraging. And I hope that when people click or tune in, they can be encouraged, but also at the end of it, they can be hopeful to, you know, to know that they're not alone. There are a lot of people out there that might be facing similar challenges or difficulties, but we can still remain hopeful and know that we'll come through it. So, yeah.
And from my side, I would say that we started with like everything was so fast and it had to slow down. So right now we have something that we didn't have for a very long time. We didn't have time, and now we have time. Okay. Yeah. A lot of people that before they did not have time for people, they didn't have time for anything, because they were like, I got no time. Time is money. I need to run. Right now we have time, and we can really use it for good. And in my opinion, the best time, the best thing you can do with this time is rebuild your life. Like literally rebuild yourself, rebuild others, friends, family members, relationships, anything. It's a building time. Since you can stay at home and waste time playing PlayStation too, if you want. But most of the people who are like, you know, thinking, what can I do? They're the proactive ones. They have perfect opportunity to rebuild themselves and others too. That's pretty much from me.
I want to thank each and every one of you, Michael, Liaqat, Alan, for taking the time out of your schedules and making this a reality for the Genuine Men's Chat movement. As Alan just put up and shared with the group, during these testing times, we have options. Each of you has options, and know that there are free coaching sessions that are available. We have the Zoom lives that are right there as well. And then we have our Facebook group where we have genuine men and genuine women joining together to share with each other and have these honest discussions offline, talk about their struggles and talk about their wins. It's not just about the challenges, but also what have we learned together. And then watch our shows. We have season 1 of the Genuine Men's Chat right there available to you. The website is www.transformyounow, that's younow.org/G like genuine, M like men, C like cat, dash videos with an S, VIDEOS. So until next week, remember our motto, you're not alone. You have a family now, an online family, and we're here with you every step of the way to support and guide and to just hold space. So thank you. And we'll see you next Thursday at 4 p.m. UK time. And all of that will be on that page with a new topic. Take care. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You again.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.